This week we are talking about the Ohio Bobcats, Jordan. The Ohio Bobcats, good. They've had a really nice 2 years in a row here, Jordan. They got a good head coach, a guy who probably could have left for a different job if he had decided to. But initial thoughts? I'm pulling up our research here. Ohio Bobcats, Jordan, Mid-American Conference. They play in Pittman Stadium since 1929, Jordan. 1929 in the same stadium. Tim Albin, 23-16 with the program, 59% wins. Rivals, Miami of Ohio, Marshall. Jordan, this season, they are definitely dealing with some transfer portal issues. They lost a lot of good players in the portal this offseason. They're projected to finish fifth in the MAC with a 6-6 record. Any thoughts on that, Jordan? The transfer portal taking a toll on the Ohio Bobcats this offseason.
Well, I mean, if you look at last season, they kind of overperformed. They had an extremely talented roster, and with the day and age of the NIL, this is not shocking. This is a double-digit win team. They went 10-3. They finished second in the MAC conference. So to see kind of the portal do what the portal is supposed to do when you go to a smaller school, you always want to move up to that next level.
Right.
And I think that hurts them. But man, that seems really low, Douglas. I would give them about 8 wins. I think 6 wins is
whoa.
I think 6 wins is low. I mean, granted they did lose some players, but they didn't lose what got them there. You look at their coaching staff is intact, their offensive coordinator is intact, their defensive coordinator, all that kind of front office business stays the same. Shout out to Jenna. But
thank you, Jenna.
But definitely, and you can't take away from that. Any of those guys that got there, they were coached to be successful. So I don't think they're going to be as hit as much as this kind of computer rating / prediction rating gives them. I don't think they're going to do that bad, Doug. What about you?
Based on what I've seen and based on the top of the MAC this year, I do suspect they're going to have some issues. Miami of Ohio is loaded. They're going to be really good this year. Central Michigan is going to be a tough game. There's some definite competition up there this year, especially Toledo's always good. Toledo's a damn good program. I think it's going to be a tough year for them, Jordan. I think 6-6 is probably right where I would go. Shout out to Darren. Shout out to Jenna. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for tuning in. Jordan, the recruiting is also rough. 92nd rated recruiting class. They had 18 commits. 109th rated transfer class, 19 commits. In this day and age, you've got to dominate the portal, and they struggled a little bit with their recruiting after losing all those guys. So definitely not the best rebuild possible, but they have a good coaching staff. Like you said, they lost their coordinator, but they're still with the head coach. He's done a damn good job. Their top players, Jordan, the best name in college football right now, Parker Titsworth, center, started all 14 games in 2023. A guy who could potentially get on an NFL roster. I don't think he's an NFL draft pick right now, but he's a guy who could maybe work his way into a practice squad or something like that. And then Anthony Tyus, a transfer from Northwestern, a guy who didn't get a ton of burn at Northwestern, so he's got a lot of tread on the tires. They're very excited about what he brings to the table behind a solid O-line. And then Adonis Williams and Austin Beasley are 2 safeties, and they are the best duo in the MAC. They both were tied for 4th on the team in tackles last season. So Ohio definitely has some players. They brought in a new quarterback also, but the wide receiver core is very limited. They're going to have to run the ball, and they're going to have to run the ball a lot this year behind Titsworth and the rest of that line. I think 6-6 is a lot closer, Jordan, than you do. I'm going to pull up their schedule for you. 1 second. There it is. Okay, so Jordan at Syracuse, That's a tough start. Syracuse is back this year. They have a much better, improved team. And then we've got, I'll pull it up here for everybody. Then we've got South Alabama. That's a win. Morgan State. That's a win. At Kentucky. That's going to be tough. So there's
Yeah,
2-2 most likely right there. Akron is really bad this year. That's 3-2.
we touched on them last week.
Yep. Central Michigan is a toss up. It could go either way, 3-3 or 4-2. Then Miami, Ohio. Miami, Ohio is really, really good this year. Buffalo, toss up. Kent State's going to be a win. Eastern Michigan's going to be a toss up. At Toledo, Ball State. I mean, Jordan, the way the MAC is laid out right now, it's going to be a rough year for the Ohio Bobcats. I mean, I felt good about a couple of their games. Shout out to Drew Chickstig when you buy my shirts. Keep doing it. Oh, well said, sir. Well said. But yeah, so I think it's gonna be a tough year, Jordan. Ohio, maybe their quarterback comes out and sets the world on fire, and they really run the ball well behind that O-line. But to me, it's going to be an uphill battle. They play a hard non-conference, Kentucky and Syracuse. They've got Miami of Ohio, who's predicted to win the MAC this year. We'll touch on them in a couple weeks. But it's going to be an interesting year, Jordan. What do you think now that you can see the schedule and instead maybe you back off those 8 wins, or what are your thoughts?
I'm still going to double down. I can see him pulling off one upset there. I can see 7 to 8 wins.
I'm going to double
back
down
off a little bit. So I'm pushing my chips in all tonight. So.
I like it. I'm gonna stick with 6-6. Obviously, we are rooting for them to do well, but uphill battle for sure this season. Jordan, we've got a little bit here. Some new.